the color scheme of your outfit.
Oh,
is the color
you
scheme
stressed
of
me.
the
You were like, oh my
pillow.
god. Can you tell my life has a theme?
Yeah. Well, when I was zooming in, I was like, wait, boom.
What am I
boom.
seeing?
I don't really know what I said. Is this still embroidery if it's yarn? Hi everyone, my name is Kelsey.
Yeah, my name is Becky.
And we are the Sorry Girls, and we are back today with another episode of Across the World DIY Challenge.
I feel like this will be the third time we've done it. I feel like every time we've done it, it's a slightly different take on the concept that we created. But I don't mind it because it makes it fun and exciting, and the challenge is new every time. So we both took trips recently. Where did you go?
I went to Ireland.
And I just went to Northern Ontario, but nonetheless, we got to experience some new places, go to new shops, maybe see some new items that we could DIY with.
And in the past, we've always kind of like DIY'd on the vacation, but it just makes sense logistically to not DIY on your vacation. And also this way we can come back with our supplies, swap them, and we have to make something with the other person's DIY supplies.
So I have a nice little package for Kelsey from Canada.
Straight from Ireland.
You want to open yours first?
Okay, yeah.
Ah, this is like Christmas.
Here. Oh! Yarn. There's zero graceful ways to open a present.
People that try and open it to save the paper are just lying to themselves.
Right? Oh, fabric? Fabric?
So when I was up north, it was like spring just turning into summer, and I was blown away by how many little wildflowers there were in like every color you could imagine. Usually I think of like forests, not so much flowers up north, but so many. And the cool thing about this yarn actually is it's made by an artisan who hand dyes it with purple trilliums.
Oh, I did not know that was even a thing.
Yeah, so many purple trilliums up north, so she hand dyes the yarn with that, which makes it kind of like an eco dye. So fun. I will link the shop below for you guys. And then obviously we have some vintage. This is from a vintage reseller.
Oh shoot, cool.
Yeah, vintage wildflower print fabric.
I'm gonna make a whole dress out of this. What am I gonna make? I don't know. Okay.
I don't know.
I will be thinking, but in the meantime, you can open up your package.
I'm excited. Oh, a three-parter. Had to one-up me. Okay, I see you with the theme.
It sounds so funny, eh?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So that's Irish wool. There's so many sheep there.
The Irish sheepies.
Same wavelength. Wavelength.
What's this? Oh my god. I love this. Okay, cute. One's a button and one's just like decor. Oh, is it for hair? Or what? Is that what it's for?
I forget. Well, they modeled it in the wool, but like yeah, it's like it must be for your hair. Like if you use it for something else,
For styling purposes.
for casting spells.
Okay, well, this gives me a lot to think about. So the idea is that we now need to create something with the items we bought for each other. We're allowed to use other materials, but the items we bought just has to be kind of the focus of the project.
Yeah. So I'm gonna make something from Canada, and you can do something with my Irish goodies.
Some Irish DIY and coming right out.
We will reconvene later.
Okay.
So I have my trillium dyed yarn and my wildflower print, and after seeing this, I took a couple minutes to think about it, and I decided that I wanted to use the flower backdrop and my yarn to do like an embroidery. And then I started thinking about embroidery, and then I remembered seeing both plates and embroidered versions of these pretty sassy quotes, I'm gonna call them, because they're really pretty and they look like they'd be, you know, so classic, but then the quotes are so sassy, it like catches you off guard, but they're so hilarious. So I went to our community tab and posted to the members only a poll asking what they would like to see on my DIY. So the options were you got dis, proud voter, all my pants are sassy pants, nope, and less adulting please. And the winner was...
It's a two-way tie between proud voter and all my pants are sassy pants.
Wow, mad respect to the audience for voting proud voter. I think I'm leaning towards all my pants are sassy pants. It's just like a lot more to embroider, but I think if it was proud voter, it would just be bigger. If it's all my pants are sassy pants, it would just be smaller. I think I'm going to break the tie with all my pants are sassy pants. So this is my embroidery hoop. This is my fabric. So my first step is to, because actually every single one of these like squares has kind of a different pattern. So I'm gonna look through all of these and figure out which one I want to be my backdrop. I'm just going to put my sheet of fabric in my embroidery hoop so it's ready to be embroidered. And then I'm gonna draw out what I want written, which is, all of my pants are sassy pants. I'm gonna go ahead and start doing a stem stitch. Now to do this, we go up through the bottom, over and back down. And when I come back up again, I'm going halfway where I just made my first stitch. We've done the chain stitch a lot in the past where you kind of come up through the fibers, but this one kind of looks like a wrapped kind of rope. And I wanted it to be a little bit different. So yeah, you come up beside it instead of coming through the yarn. And I'm gonna repeat that again, just creating a stitch, coming back up through the middle, creating another stitch, coming back up through the middle, until I have a whole word.
Woo!
So it honestly didn't take me that long, but I'm finally done my embroidery. I don't know if you can tell, but it says, all of my pants are sassy pants. And the thing that I was afraid of happened, and that's that the background is so detailed that my yarn doesn't really show up, especially because the yarn is kind of like ombre. I think it's just like detailed yarn on top of detailed backdrop equals I can't really read it. It's unfortunate, but I think I might be able to solve it. So my plan is to cut off some of this excess fabric because I think it would look cuter in more of like a circle than the square that I have going on. And then also to take some paint, and my plan is to paint a drop shadow so that my lettering stands out a little bit more. So after adding my paint drop shadow, I do think that it is a little bit more legible. It's not 100% the way there, but you know, I'm just gonna pretend this is like art where you have to like stare at it for a while until the meaning comes to you instead of it being very obvious, because that's what high art is, let's be honest. Overall, I think this is really cute, and I'd love to try it again with a different color combo and even more quotes, because there are so many good sassy quotes out there. I'm really happy with it.
Okay, so I did a lot of thinking and a lot of Googling online for inspo on what to do here. And I actually came up with something that I have wanted to DIY for a while, but it's just never fit into an exact video that we're gonna do. So what I would like to try and do today is make one of those pillows that are very in right now. They're very fringy, they're very heavy on yarn decor. Sometimes they're knitted, sometimes they're made out of kind of an eclectic match of different fabrics and textures, which I think is gonna be perfect considering I do have kind of a collection of different items that I have to use for this. So because I wanna do a pillow and I only have yarn for this, I'm not gonna knit one from scratch because that's gonna take me a long time, but I do wanna make it from things we already own. So I sifted through the TheSorryGirls basket of fabrics that we've had from projects past, and I came up with this color scheme. We had a bunch of kind of rust colored orange browns and a bunch of different white textured fabrics. So before I actually get to my yarn and my buttons, I want to take the fabrics that I have and cut them up and sew together the front piece of my pillow to work as the base that we can add the yarn onto. And I want to make this kind of in like a bolster size pillow because I own so many square pillows. They're so easy to just throw into a space and make it look well designed. So these are all my cut strips of fabric kind of in the order I want them to be, and I'm just pinning them together to make one solid piece. And then I'm going to use the sewing machine to sew up all of the sides to make it one large piece. So this is the front of the pillow. I left the edges just a little bit raw because when we actually go to put the pillow together, this will all be sewn into the hem. So you really don't need to worry about it being perfect just yet. But now we get to move on to the super fun part, and that is adding all the decorative elements with the yarn. Like, you really can't go wrong with this. You can really do whatever you're feeling, add yarn wherever you want, in whatever design. I'm gonna kind of just feel it out as I go, start with one design, and then if I wanna add more somewhere else, that's what we'll do. The first pattern I want to make on here is kind of this fluffy line that's kind of in a V shape on the center of the white block. So what I'm doing is taking the yarn and sectioning out how much I think it will take, and then multiplying that until I have about 6 layers of the yarn so this can be nice and chunky and fluffy. I'm using some sewing pins just to hold the yarn in kind of that V shape to get me started. Now to kind of attach this all down, I'm just using a normal sewing needle and some white thread, and just kind of wrapping the thread around the yarn and leaving about a ½ inch or so gap each time. So it kind of makes these bunches of yarn as I go along. Once I get to the other end, I can knot it off to hold it all in place. And then I'm just using the needle to kind of pull out some of the yarn and fluff it up a little bit and make it look a little bit more raw and unfinished and natural. And then I'm gonna repeat that for a second line below as well. Okay, so the next design now that I wanna do with the yarn is to do a simple braid. So what I'm doing is sectioning out 3 different groups that have 4 long strands of yarn in them each. And then I'm tying them together at the top with some thread and then just doing a very simple, old school braid with my 3 groups of yarn. So now I'm just gonna pin the braid to the fabric the same way I did the other 2 lines, and then using a needle and thread again to just sew the braid to the actual fabric. Okay, so this is what it's looking like so far. I think it's really cute. I really like the textures of it. So the last decor element that I want to do on this guy is put on some little like fluffy bow ties, almost is what they look like. I've seen these on a lot of pillows and they're really cute. So I was wrapping my head around how in the world I was gonna use this hair clip that Kelsey got me. And then I was looking at this, and this looks very similar to the things that you make pom-poms with. So, oh my goodness, I thought that I could use this to help me make some little yarn wraps to make my bow ties with. So I'm taking the yarn and wrapping it around this guy a couple times. It was a little slippery, which made it difficult, but I wrapped it around about 7 times, and then used some scrap yarn to tie the center together, and then cut the yarn off of the wooden ring. So then I'm gonna place my little fluffy bow ties around the sides of my pillow and sew them on with another needle and thread. And the last step is to add the decorative elements that Kelsey got for me. So that is the button and this little hoop. So I just wanna add a couple of little fringy bits to the hoop to make it tie into the rest of the pillow. So I have some long strands of that same yarn, and I'm just looping it through itself along the bottom, the wider part of the hoop. Then using my same yarn still, I'm using a large headed needle and sewing on the button, as well as the hoop onto my last remaining undecorated panel of my pillow. So this is how she's looking. It's very cute. I'm loving this color scheme vibe together. So now it's on to pretty much the last part, which is putting the back on this and sewing this whole thing together to make it a pillow. So for the back, I have just more of this brown fabric that's cut to roughly the same size that will be the back. And normally what you would do is just sandwich your 2 pieces together and sew all the way around, but I wanna do one final thing, and that is to add some tassel fringe to the sides of the pillow. So I'm just taking bunches of 4 strands each of the yarn and tying them together with a knot directly in the center. And then when I fold them in half, this is gonna create the tassels. But because I am gonna sew this whole thing inside out, I'm gonna actually need to flip all the tassels facing inwards with just the knot sticking out past the edge of the fabric. Once I've done that for both sides, I can put my back piece on and sandwich everything together and pin it all up. Next, I'm gonna use the sewing machine and sew up all 3 sides plus most of the way on the last 4th side to leave a little gap. With that gap, I can now flip my entire pillow inside out to see how the tassels look and everything's looking together. And so the very last step is gonna be stuffing this. I'm just using some basic pillow stuffing to stuff this pillow. And the little gap that I left unsewn, I'm gonna actually sew up using a ladder stitch or a blind stitch, I believe they're the same thing, to close this whole thing up. So this is how my pillow turned out, and I actually really like it. It's very cute. I love that there's so much going on, plus like the added detail of the little buttons are so cute. And the best thing about doing a pillow like this is you literally can do it out of anything you have. Like if you have a bunch of scrap fabric in different colors, go for it. If you have a bunch of yarn and string and buttons and tassels, just add them on and I guarantee it's gonna look cute.
You did a fantastic job.
Thank you. I love your DIY as well.
I love a sassy saying, and thank you guys for voting to the members on the community tab.
If you want to see us make more things on our other travels around the world, we have 2 other videos that are all in this theme, which we'll link below.
And as always, thank you for hashtagging SorryGirls Squad so we can see your DIY recreations. We love a plant stand. We love anything to do with plants, and you can't have too many of them.
All right, thanks so much for watching, guys.
If you like it, make sure you give it a like.
And if you love it, make sure you sub it.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.